I'm Model Railroader UK, and in this introductory video we're going to take a look at my HO scale layout based on the Southern Pacific in the mid to late 1950s. It's a loft layout, and I'm actually converting a 00 scale layout to HO, and have been doing so for about the last 2 years. The original layout used to belong to my uncle. You're watching the first part of the layout that I began to develop, the engine terminal, and you'll see Rapido RDC SP number 10 running past the switch tower. This was recently added to the layout over the New Year period. This area of the layout has been developing, as I said, for about 2 years. The tables were already in existence in most places from my uncle's old layout, but I added foam insulation board as the surface upon which to build the layout. I've had quite a few positive comments about the way I've done the ground cover on my Instagram channel by the same name, so I thought in another video I'll explain how I do this. The roundhouse in the background is a Banter Model Works rendition of the Port Costa roundhouse, which is no longer in existence. This is the region of the SP that I'm trying to model approximately. You're now watching a modified Atlas RS11 push a tank car back into the roundhouse. This was my first attempt at modifying a locomotive, and it involved drilling out the windows to reveal the engineer, adding windscreens and armrests, and also a chain to the front truck as the prototype had. There are other details as well added. I will say that this is my first attempt at a proper model railway or railroad since I was a younger man. And I've learnt so much from watching other YouTubers such as Everard Junction, New Junction, Dave Class 47, and across the pond Ken Patterson's What's Neat, Ron's Trains and Things, and Eric's Trains, for example. What we're going to do now is take a journey around part of the layout using the RS11 as our tour guide. This track here runs towards the rear of the roundhouse and joins up with what will be the main that will head out into the desert. However, what we've done now is reverse back, and the locomotive is going to pass the switch tower as you've just seen, plus the diesel refuelling spur, and then head around a curve towards a fruit packing plant. The diesel engine refueling facility is a Walther's kit, and the boxcar body is, like the roundhouse, another Banter Model Works kit, and as you can see I built an interior for this. The background building is part of the Walther's sand house kit. In fact, it is the sand house, and it's illuminated as is the roundhouse, and there are a couple of lights in the yard. These are from the Bloodynoses plug and play system. Okay, so the RS11 begins to make its journey around the curve towards the fruit packing plant, and in doing so it will pass a couple of spurs. The rock work in the background is actually a mixture of some of the projects that my uncle had started plus mine. Basically, most of the materials used for the scenery are what you'd find lurking around perhaps in your garbage ready to throw out. So we've got old style polystyrene rather I should say. It's been shaped into shape, glued together, and it seems to have created quite a nice rock effect, and all that creates a heck of a lot of mess. It seems to have been quite effective. Despite watching all those YouTube videos, when you're starting out, it tends to be a bit of a big experiment in trying to find out what works, and also if you haven't got everything at home, I tend to, in my case, turn to whatever I can find and see if there's a use for it. So okay, back to the tour, and the RS11 is now approaching the fruit packing plant, which again is a Walther's kit. You can see the ice platform in the background, yet again another Walther's kit, and also you'll see that I've actually modelled the interior of the fruit packing plant. It's actually based on the interior of a plant in Glendale, California, which before I started out I didn't know was actually on the Santa Fe and not the SP, and it's potentially a rendition that's a little bit too early for my era. The pictures I found were from the 1900s. However, I'll tell you more about the development of this site, and there's still more work to be done on it, in another video sometime in the future. We're now watching the RS11 head back towards the roundhouse engine terminal part of the layout, and you'll see the two spurs that I mentioned earlier. And you can also see the insulation board and the kind of shape of the layout from this angle. So here the RS11 begins to get closer to the engine terminal and to where we started from. I've weathered the majority of the rolling stock and locomotives on the layout, and as we get back to the engine terminal, we're going to start to see a part of the layout that a few people have actually seen on the Instagram channel. This is where the layout begins to head out towards the desert and into the newly developing yard complex that's being constructed. It's largely unseen due, as you can see, to the state it's in. There's a lot of work that needs to be done in this area, and also around a further curve and embankment which will lead into a long straight away before the layout can turn back onto itself almost and go through a further yard and areas to be determined. Hopefully you've enjoyed this brief introduction to my layout, and if you do like what you've seen, do leave any questions or comments in the section below, and of course do subscribe to the channel, and do look out for further updates on the development of the layout. Okay, so now let's look at some frames rolled.